What is going on, all you awesome superhero aficionados? This is the Heroes and Mutants podcast brought to you by Higher Passion Entertainment. We're so excited to be here today and wish you guys a happy new year. It was a little bit late. We ran into some scheduling difficulties, but I'm Nick with my co-hosts Jimmy, Eric, Ruben, and we have a very special guest joining us today. One of the producers of Higher Passion Entertainment. We welcome Eddie. Thank you so much for joining us today, brother. Appreciate it.
What's up, bro, man? It's a long time coming, man. Been trying to come on this for a while, so we'll see.
Yeah, definitely. But today we wanted to focus on the recap of 2021 and talk about shows and movies, what was our favorite, what was our best, and what we look forward to in 2022. I actually just wanted to ask you guys first and foremost, how excited and invigorating was it for you guys to come into 2021 going, okay, we're going to get a lot of superhero content this year, because 2020 we only had Wonder Woman 84, and that was obviously incredible freaking letdown. So going into 2021, how did you guys feel about the year coming? Like, because for us living in the dawn of the superhero era, we really didn't have any of that in 2020, and what we did get, obviously, I just mentioned. But how was it for you guys? Your thought process going into 2021?
Y'all go ahead.
I don't know. I was very optimistic about it, but at the same time I was a little worried, just because coming off of like the end of the whole Endgame arc and all that, like that was 2019 going to 2020, and I was like, all right, where do we go from here, especially with the MCU, right? The DCU, they were their own mess, and I wasn't even too sure about how well they would do. But as far as the MCU, I think I was excited about the shows that were coming out, but at the same time I was like, I don't know where they're gonna go next, right? Like, what's the plan? Because they did this whole building up through movies, and now, all right, we're gonna start doing shows. So I think all of it kind of kicked off with WandaVision, and I thought WandaVision was really gonna be like the make or break for the MCU shows for a while, right? So yeah, that was me. I was excited about it, but at the same time I was worried. I'm not gonna lie.
Definitely. How about you, Jimmy? What'd you feel, man?
I was mostly excited because of the television shows, just to see what because we got four of them in 2021, so it was good to see how the storytelling would advance over longer periods of time as opposed to one movie. And I actually kind of like the direction that it's going in with the TV shows. I think we got to learn a lot more about the characters than we do. I mean, I know the movies are long; they're usually like 2.5 hours, but still, it's not the same. It's not the same thing as getting like 6 or 7 episodes of a TV show.
Yeah,
Definitely.
I feel you guys on that. I'll piggyback on what both of you guys just said, Jimmy and Eric. I feel like what Eric was saying, how he was worried about what was coming, because after the whole Endgame, it's like, all right, this is a big conclusion with the Endgame, with all the main stars. We know, a lot of people were on their final, contract year and stuff like that. And then coming into 2021, there's those shows like Jimmy's saying. But I was excited for the shows. I ain't gonna lie, I was excited but worried at the same time, because they're going in a whole new direction without the movies. They're just doing, well, besides Shang-Chi, we had all that, but with the TV shows, they're going deeper into what Jimmy's saying. They're going deeper into their characters, personality. We get a more backstory of what they're going through, instead of in the movies where, yeah, they're longer, but it's not focusing on just one person. It's a whole plot. So I feel like 2021 was a good year, though, to be honest.
Definitely. What about you, Eddie? What did you feel going into 2021 and not having any superhero shows or movies for a year?
Man, it felt way different, especially with the way like the MCU came out and the end game and everything. And then I felt like we've been talking about these shows for just the longest time, whether it be the cast or the costumes or like everything. And like Eric said, same thing. Like I was kind of worried, just like, did they rush the shows? Did they have little time? Did they rewrite it too much where it's like it didn't really come out too good? But in the end, like WandaVision it started off good and it ended good with Hawkeye. So they did really good, especially the MCU. And then with DC, I mean, we got a couple good things too from DC. So, I mean, in the end, it was good. It was a good year. It wasn't what I expected because I just, like I said, I didn't know what to expect. I was kind of worried about everything, but I mean, it ended good.
Yeah, definitely. I think for me too, I was just so ready for whatever was to come. It was crazy too because in that 3 month span, in the very beginning of the year, we got WandaVision, and then we got the Snyder Cut in March, which also Falcon and Winter Soldier was premiering around the same time. So in a 3 month span, we got 3 new superhero content to watch. So just that fact, we went from completely nothing and me bored out of my mind. I think I was rewatching old episodes of Batman the Animated Series. I was rewatching Batman Beyond. I was watching the first season of Doom Patrol, watching Titans. It was just like I was so ready just for something to come along. I didn't care what it was, honestly. So for us to not have anything and to go into that, I didn't really have that much caution because from what I had seen, a lot of the trailers and a lot of the ways in how the MCU was formulating what they were doing, I was just more optimistic for what was to come. I think I was just more on the fence with regards to the DCEU because we didn't have anything from them that came out this year, right? If I'm not mistaken. Was there anything?
So far,
as far as just from DC in general, there was only really Doom Patrol and Doom Patrol season 3 and then Titan season 3, but those were in its own world and were connected to the DCEU as a whole. So I think I was just more ready to just go up. I'm sorry.
The Harley Quinn show.
The Harley Quinn too. I haven't seen that one yet, but I was just more ready to see what kind of world building was going to go on in the MCU, and especially with a character like Hawkeye, because he was not a main character at all. It was just somebody who played more of the background. So I think more my reasoning was going to be, okay, what is it that they're going to do? What are they going to add to it that's going to complement this character? And we already know him, but we don't feel like we've really connected to him so much because the movies didn't focus on him. So I thought a lot of that was a lot of excitement for me. So was just really, really ready for what was to come, especially because 2020 we didn't have anything except Wonder Woman 84, but that really left a bad taste in everybody's mouth. And I think the less that's said about that, the better.
Yeah, probably.
So let's get into the shows of 2021, and we'll just go down the list and what you guys like. So why don't you start it off, Eric? What was your favorite show? What was your worst? Did you like the animated shows that also came out? Let's put you on the spotlight, man.
I'll start with the worst show because that was really easy for me. Titan season 3 was the worst show.
Oh God,
damn.
That's my worst. That's my worst too, honestly.
Yeah, dude. Okay, as much as I like Titans, as much as I like DC, like that show, like I'm a fan and I love the heroes and they're playing out the stories and it's cool to see it on screen. But at the same time, it's like I watch other shows too, and I know when I'm watching a good quality show, and that ain't it. Right, like the character development's all whack. The plots are all over the place. So the further it gets in every season is just more and more convoluted. Right,
it's more like a Hawk story, huh? He's more like designing everything. Yeah, me too.
Yeah, man, it's crazy.
I think it's the fact that there's a lot of potential. You got actors who fit their parts, and when you look at them, you think, okay, Brendan Thwaites, he looks like Dick Grayson Nightwing. Ryan Potter, he looks like Gar Logan. He looks like Beast Boy. There's a lot of that going along where the casting is on point, but it's just the writing and the direction and a lot of not exactly knowing what the show wants to be, the exact genre it wants to define it. It wants to be this dark, grimy atmosphere. It just doesn't fit with characters that are as compassionate and as loving and as empathetic as the Titans. It just there's still some of that going on, but there's a lot of the pacing is just all over the place too.
Yeah, there's
with regards to what happens to Jason Todd and him coming back as a Red Hood. I'm just like that happened that fast. That's going on. And then I like the dynamic they did with Scarecrow. I thought that was a different inclusion for a character like him. But at the same, they're like a lot of the dynamic between. I think the best episode was with Bruce and Jason when going over their relationship and how that all formulated. I thought that was probably the best episode. And you actually do see him, he does care so much for Jason and tries to forbid him from being Robin, but there's just a lot of convolution going on, and I'm just like, the show doesn't know what it wants to be.
No, I think they're making the same errors that the show Arrow started making like midway through its run. Like they started just kind of recycling even some stories just with a different bad guy, and it's just all over the place. So yeah, like it started off strong, and now it's just who knows where. Hopefully they'll fix it.
Definitely.
And honestly, like I watch the Flash show still, and there's some episodes in there that are some the middle seasons also got like way off track, but now I think they're kind of starting to come into their own again and kind of figure. Yeah, the Flash is starting to figure out where they're at.
Mhm.
So I hope Titans can turn it around, because that was definitely not that great of a show for me to watch.
And
Yeah, 'cause the
what would you
characters are
say?
cool.
What would you say was your favorite show of 2021?
Favorite show? Honestly, probably WandaVision. That one just stood out to me just because it was so different. And again, as not just a fan of superheroes, but a fan of just watching different types of shows. You saw like a history of TV in that show,
Mhm.
and not only that, like they touched on different genres, and eventually, obviously, we know what it culminated in, with Vision becoming self-aware and all that. And I thought that was just a really cool way to show their relationship between Wanda and Vision, but at the same time, it was like the way they talked about like the theme of grief. I thought that was really cool too. So it kind of set the tone for the rest of the MCU shows, where like this one was about grief, right? And then Falcon and Winter Soldier, they talk a lot about racism. Like it's like heavy subject matter that they're starting to tackle, and I love seeing that in the show. So I think all that started off with WandaVision, and I think they did a really good job with it.
Definitely.
Yeah.
What about you, Jimmy? What would you rank as your worst show of 2021?
The worst is probably something none of you guys watched, was Pennyworth.
Oh God,
I did not watch it.
I had no interest in watching that.
I saw the
Honestly,
first couple episodes. It wasn't. Yeah.
No, I'm gonna be
Was
honest.
that bad?
Yeah, I feel bad even ranking it as the worst because I didn't finish it, but I only saw like a handful of episodes, and it's just, I don't know. It just seems like they're really milking that shit to death, trying to squeeze every little thing out of the Batman. And I love the Batman universe. I'm a big, everybody knows me knows that, but
yeah,
that's just pushing it too far. So that was easily the worst thing. To
I honestly did not even bother with that show. I saw the trailers. I'm like, nah, screw that. I'm not gonna waste my time with it.
Well, Alfred is a badass in the show.
He is.
I mean, he is, but I don't know. A show like Gotham is appealing to me. Seeing a younger Bruce Wayne in the beginning of when he's after losing his parents, and seeing where Gotham is at, how the city develops, and how he goes about to being like, you know what, I need to become a crusade, a symbol of justice. But to see Alfred in his youth, that's not really something where I need to watch it or I need to understand this character.
I think it could be done well. This is just not it. I'm not against it. I checked it out of curiosity because I really think that he's kind of like he was kind of like a James Bond character in the comics.
Yeah, Robin even talked about it. He was like, Alfred was a badass. Like,
but the show just did not. I felt like they could have done a much better job with that character. So that was easily.
Glad I didn't watch it.
Maybe I'll get to watching it to see if what you say is true. Or if it's a golden gem that you're just trying to hide from us because you don't want anybody else to know.
Gatekeeper.
I feel like they're
not a gatekeeper.
Hey, we gotta start doing that, man. You saw that TikTok with those girls doing the pop song? Oh no.
What would you say was your favorite show of 2021, Jimmy?
I'm gonna go with Loki. Loki
was dope.
I think WandaVision might have been a little bit more creative than Loki, but Loki was pretty up there. And I don't know, it's the one that engaged me the most. I loved. It reminded me a lot of Rick and Morty, but a more adult version of Rick and Morty.
Yeah. Bro,
their version,
watching that show, I just couldn't stop thinking of Doctor Who. Right, it was like even like the whole society. I'm like, those are the Time Lords, dude. Like it's like they're taking like all these different ideas directly from all these other shows. And I'm a big fan of Doctor Who, and so is my sister. So we talk about it.
Introduce much.
Yeah, right.
So
a lot of it, I think that was the only reason I couldn't like get way too into it, because I'm like, this just feels too like it's been done before. Not necessarily like the plot, the acting, all that was amazing, but like the technology and all that, like how they're doing certain things. I'm like, oh yeah, there's a timeline. Oh, they have to keep the time in order. Like I've seen that done before. So that's why.
I've never actually seen Doctor Who, so I didn't really have anything to
It
compare
was a
it with.
good
Yeah.
old.
But
Yeah, it was a good show though.
I like the storytelling. I like where it ended. I felt like for a long time you weren't sure where it was going to go for a while. It felt unpredictable, and I liked every different version of Loki, especially the alligator Loki.
Alligator Loki.
Yeah.
And they bit the other Loki's hand off. Oh, man.
Yeah.
Nah, man,
of course,
Kid Loki. I was so
Kid
excited
Loki
to
was
see
pretty
Kid
dope.
Loki because he's big in the comic books,
Mhm.
right? Kid Loki is a badass. He legit killed
Yeah.
Thor when he was little. So
Yeah, he said I
Yeah.
killed Thor. Like,
Yeah.
damn. I was not expecting that when he said it though. I was like, okay, like, I took quiet for a second.
yeah, right.
and I also really love the end when they introduced Kang the Conqueror, his whole section.
Yeah.
Loved the
Oh yeah,
ending.
that whole speech, that was such good acting. Like I'm so excited to see where they're gonna
Lovecraft
go with
Country.
Kang. Yeah,
Mhm.
dude. Yeah.
What about you, Ruben? What would you say was the worst show for you of 2021?
From the shows that I've seen, and you know that I don't really watch a lot of DC, but I do remember I was watching the Titans, had to catch up with that. So that's cool. That one was cool. But I would have to say Batwoman, because obviously the CW.
Oh,
I do
God,
like to watch. Yeah, I do like to watch CW shows still. You know,
Yeah.
even though it's
Yeah.
cheesy, but I like superheroes like that.
man.
So I was like, I gotta
Yeah.
watch it.
Batwoman's hard to watch.
And,
Yeah.
yeah, it is. And I was like, at first, I was like, okay, they introduced the new Batwoman.
Actress,
You know, ever
yeah.
since we Rose, the new actor, ever since she left, I was like, okay, it's cool. All right, let's see what they're gonna do with it. At first, I was like, okay, it's slow. They gave her a cool little backstory. I was like, all right, let's see what she steps up to the role. But as I continued watching it, I just didn't like it. I didn't like the way they went with it per se. So I just thought, like Eric was saying about the show, I felt like I've seen it before in another way, you know, and like in a cartoon version or something like that. But I will say I hated it just because of the acting alone. These new actors, I'm not counting on her. I'm not counting on her for just the acting alone. It's just overall, this one was really really cheesy, like, and I don't like it. I really dislike.
Do you think it's cheesier than Legends of Tomorrow? Because that's like
Damn,
cheesy.
Legends of Tomorrow. I think I gave up with Legends of Tomorrow after that whole crossover where Oliver died. You know,
The Crisis of Infinite Earths.
Yeah, the Crisis of Infinite Earths, where he
That
became a Spectre for some reason.
That was 2 years ago. 2 years ago, yeah, 2019.
Yeah, so I gave up with Legends after that. After that series ended right there, once Oliver died. So that's what I'm saying. So I was like, I'm gonna give Batwoman a chance, but I gave up on that one too. I ain't gonna lie, I gave up on that one. So
yeah,
I'm done with that one, bro.
What would you say was your favorite show for 2021?
Eric and Jimmy said some good ones.
Be honest, even if it's something we already said. Say what you
No,
say.
that's what I'm saying. I'm gonna be honest. It was like I said at the beginning. You know, I was worried with what they were gonna do with the shows, but they actually all of them came through. You know, like the Falcon and the Winter Soldier was cool.
Falcon and the Winter Soldier was pretty close, and I almost picked that over Loki, but I ended up going with Loki.
Yeah, it was really good.
Just by a hair, yeah. Just by a hair, yeah.
Yeah, and this one I'm not like I like the action. Like, you know, every show has its favorite to me. To be honest, like every show had a certain specific, like the action for the Falcon and the Winter Soldier is probably my favorite. And storyline wise, it had to be WandaVision for sure. You know, all the creativity.
Yeah.
But if I had to choose my favorite, well, Loki had cool ass creativity too. That one comes behind Wanda to me. But if I had to choose one overall, and just because I'm looking towards the future, I'm going with Hawkeye. Just because I like the new Hawkeye with Kate Bishop, and I already know for sure they're going to be introducing the Young Avengers, or possibly West Coast Avengers or something like that. You know, so I'm like, I think that's what got me excited. So it was a cool little introduction to Kate Bishop, basically, is what got me out of all the stories from all the TV shows. It would have to be Hawkeye for that specific reason because of the storyline. It's basically an introduction to the new Hawkeye. Yeah. And they're gonna go way deeper into it. They're already confirmed for a second season, you know. So it's like I'm excited for it. That one has me more excited than all the rest. I guess I would say.
Definitely.
Yeah, I think I could agree with that, especially looking towards the future. Like Hawkeye had the most, like I know Loki had the most like overall like definitive effect on the future of the MCU, but
Sure.
Hawkeye kind of showed it more, right? And I thought that was really cool. Yeah, I agree with you on that.
Definitely. What about you, Eddie? What was your worst show of 2021?
Worst one. I gotta agree with y'all on Titans because the way that it was going, oh man, it was going really good. Like the first 2 seasons, and then the third season, it was just like it was pretty disappointing. Even though, like Nick was saying about the actors they're pretty consistent to the comics and like how they appearance and. So I don't know about how I like Raven's powers, how they look in the show. That's probably one of my biggest problems, how her powers look.
Yeah.
Other than that, the way Beast Boy looks.
Beast Boy bothers me.
Really quick.
It bothers me that he only turns into a tiger.
Whatever.
Across the board, do we all pick DC shows as the worst thing of worst show?
Yes.
I think across the board, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mainly just, I mean, Doom Patrol is good. Doom Patrol's very good, but Titans.
I like Doom Patrol. I like
Titans. No, Doom Patrol's really good. But keep going, dude.
The way Titans, it could pick up. It could pick up, like just because the characters and you got Nightwing and Red Hood and it's the possibilities of that is going to be pretty crazy. And then, yeah, man, I hope they do pick it up for real because the whole like coming back thing, like so you could bring anybody back, basically, is what they were saying.
Except in the comic books.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. So like you're kind of taking away like any like if a character dies, you're like, oh well, they can just bring them back type shit. So it's not really like taking away too much when that character dies. Mm-hmm. But yeah, and then the best show, man, I like the way Falcon and Winter Soldier touched on social justice and everything. Mm-hmm. Low key was constantly good. I think every episode was like worth watching. It was really good. Hawkeye I really liked because like Ruben said, the possibilities of that are gonna be really good with Kate Bishop, and I think she did a really good job, acting wise. And then I gotta go with WandaVision though. It's just yeah, the way they delivered on that because it like Eric was saying, like everybody was looking at Marvel for what it was gonna be because it was the first Disney Plus show. It was a lot of pressure on that. And I think they really delivered. But the only like problem I had was the finale. That was the only problem I had with that show. Like other than that,
you didn't like it?
Nah, I didn't like the finale, dude. I thought they could have done something way.
You don't like the White Vision?
I mean, even though I didn't pick that as my favorite, it's probably the most original show out of all of them that came out. It's very creative. Yeah,
because like Eric was saying about like loving television, I grew up watching like Genie and freaking I Love Lucy and like so many classic shows and seeing that in the like come to life now and being appreciated was pretty dope. It was pretty cool and like how it even got to Modern Family and even like shots of The Office and it was really dope to see that. So the creativity and the writing on that was amazing. I thought they did so good with that. So.
And you know what? For that show, I'm not gonna forget all the assholes on like Twitter and stuff that were tweeting as the show was happening, like, "Oh, this is boring. This is crap."
The first 2-3 episodes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was
first
like,
2-3 episodes are all really good.
It's like people, I don't know. I think the culture just is kind of like, I want all the episodes right now, so then I can make my judgment.
Well,
and if not, I'm gonna judge.
They want a lot of action too, though. That's what
I know. Yeah, that's true.
Well, especially coming from Marvel because we got used to Daredevil and Luke Cage, The Defenders, Jessica Jones, and The Punisher. All those shows, all those episodes from that season dropped right away. So I think people just weren't used to that. And even for me too, I was like, damn, we only get like one episode per week now. Like I was like, I want it all, but it was good from that storytelling perspective because each episode was leading into that next one. So I think it was good from that old school, especially just because it was pretty much paying homage to 50, 60 years, 70 years of TV. So I think that was a cool way to also bring that back.
Yeah.
I know everybody complained about the early episodes, but actually the first 3 episodes of WandaVision are probably my 3 favorite episodes of WandaVision. Yeah. I liked the whole thing. It was good, but the
really
ones that nobody likes is what I liked.
Yeah, I don't understand that. But
I think because they didn't like understand what was going on, and like they were showing the way through television, and probably because they didn't see all those shows, they didn't really appreciate it. But
That's true.
I mean, the creativity in it was awesome. Even when it went from black to white, I mean, from black and white to color.
Yeah.
I also think what it could have been is a lot of people weren't aware of Wanda's powers in the comics and how extremely OP she is, like her whole reality warping powers. I don't think a lot of people were aware of that because all we saw her do was like crazy shit where she could levitate stuff, and that was about it. So I don't think a lot of people are aware of her jumping in power, her surge in power. I just don't think that people are aware. Oh, wait a minute, she can bend reality. She can do whatever she wants. She can just go like that and rewrite the episode. Like people just weren't aware of that. So I think that was also.
He was working Thanos. She was.
Yeah, for real. Damn.
Yeah, I agree with you on that fact, Eddie. I do think that what made it so important. I won't say it was my favorite. The creativity and the originality was there for sure, but it set the tone for what the possibility was going to be for these shows on Disney Plus. So from that perspective, you definitely got to give credit to WandaVision because that definitely did more than did its job.
Everybody wants House of M, you know.
Definitely.
I mean, to me, even though I didn't pick WandaVision, that's probably going to be the show that people remember from 2021. If you want to talk about comic book TV shows, that's probably, I mean, the show of the year.
And that says a lot because it came out in the beginning.
Yeah.
Not only that, it's a couple related kind of thing too. You know, it's like a power couple kind of stuff. Because trust, that's just a little glimpse of we're gonna get. I'm just putting it out there. Watch when Gambit and Rogue come out. That's gonna be the next hottest thing.
Oh shit! Hell yeah! I don't fuck with Vision like that though. I'll never forgive him for fucking that War Machine. So nah.
He was distracted.
But he was distracted by love.
I know.
My battery was running low, so I just needed a
finishing
out. I didn't get a chance to finish this, so definitely for sure. Obviously, we mentioned about Titans. There's just the other shows, like even at their lowest point, they were all really good. But Titans is just that one lone ranger that stood out, saying, "Hey, there's something to miss here." And I think the thing that really gets me about it is that fact that it has potential and it could be good, but
that's what kills it.
Exactly. That's definitely what kills it for me. And that fact that you have good actors, you know that there's just a lot. That's not the ceiling is not here for them. The ceiling is definitely up there, and especially because I'm a huge, obviously, Nightwing fan. I love everything related to Batman and Gotham and those characters. The Titans are awesome. Titans are some of the best characters in all of comic books and one of the best teams. And there's just so much that they can do with storytelling, and they just don't do it. Like, okay, I don't want to spoil this for you, but to let you know how awful this show is, Jason dies, is resurrected, becomes the Red Hood in a freaking week. That is just to let you know the pacing of this show. And they just incorporated how many different storylines from a death in the family to Under the Hood in the span of something that happens in the span of like, you would, I think, at the least 5-6 years in the comics, and it's all he comes back in a freaking week. Like,
see, but the thing, that's pretty stupid because what makes the Under the Red Hood storyline work so well is the passage of time and the guilt that he's lived with for years, as opposed to a week it wasn't. Yeah, that's stupid.
Yeah,
that's bad storytelling.
And it just sucks because you finally, this is the first time you're seeing Batman and Red Hood interact with each other. And honestly, it's one of the most genuine, sincere, and best moments of the series where he actually takes him to Crime Alley where his parents died, and he's relating to Jason how, I think I allowed you to become Robin too quickly. You were a lot different than Dick. You were very rebellious, and allowed you to have this more violent persona as Robin, and that's my fault. So because I care for you and because I actually want you to have a normal life and I want you to become a better person, I forbid you from being Robin. Like there's a lot of golden moments like that, and then it just gets killed in that next faction, and you don't even have Starfire and Dick, even Corey and Dick, you don't even have them together like as a couple. They barely have any chemistry, and those are like a power couple of comics. Like I'm like, what the hell is going on with the show? But yeah, you guys check out Titans. See what I mean? Probably gonna be disappointed.
He's mad. Look at the way he moves.
Yeah, bro.
He knows.
I mean,
He
at
knows.
the very least of I liked WandaVision, Falcon and the Winter Soldier,
Yeah.
Loki, and Hawkeye. I thought all 4 of Marvel's live action shows were all really good,
Mhm.
and I think any one of them could have easily been picked
Yeah, definitely.
as the
For
best
sure.
of the year.
So this one is hard for me because there was just so
Or The
much
Boys. Boys
good
was a good show,
shows.
too.
Boys is
Yeah.
good too. So much good stuff that
Forgot
came
about
out. All of, like as Jimmy said, all of the Marvel shows on Disney Plus are really good. And even MODOK was really good, but I'm probably gonna go with Invincible because I think it was something that was very different to the other shows that were coming out. We saw a more hyper violent kind of series. It feels a lot like Watchmen and a lot like The Boys in that sense. And because it's a cartoon, it can go over the top, or it can go more so with that over the topness. So, and you know, you have J.K. Simmons giving a freaking amazing performance. Anytime you have J.K. Simmons in something, it's just going to be great. Obviously, we know that. But definitely Invincible because of that fact. It feels different and on its own in that sense. It feels very distinct.
Yeah, out of the shows we were talking about right now, Invincible's the only one that I've rewatched. The show, like I've had it play in the background as I'm like working and stuff, and because it's that entertaining, it really is.
That's your best like animated show this year?
Sure.
Animated show, probably.
Yeah.
We only have like that. What If or MODOK? So
Harley.
What did you guys
Wait,
think
was
of
Harley
MODOK?
Quinn 2021 the season 2?
Season 2 is
I thought it was. Yeah.
Oh,
These-
okay.
Oh, my bad. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Then that's pretty up there for me too. Then.
Yeah, I like that.
I thought that was 2019 and 2020 for some reason.
No, they took their time, but maybe it was because of the pandemic that halted production. Because I know the show got released like in the end of 2019, so that was like right before the pandemic. So that probably is what halted.
Oh, you're right. You're right. It came out 2020, but it came out on HBO Max later.
Oh, okay. I mostly watched most of it in 2021, but I didn't.
Yeah.
Love that.
You
show.
guys will take Invincible over What If?
For shows?
Yeah, Invincible is just a way better show.
Yeah.
Way better writing.
Yeah. All right.
So was MODOK.
Here's the thing with What If. I know Ruben was talking about the Crisis on Infinite Earth storyline earlier. Legit, What If took the Crisis on Infinite Earth storyline and just reused it. Like
That's actually, I didn't.
I never thought about it like,
yeah. They legit like they have like they take Lex Luthor instead of what's his name, Killmonger. Like he's the bad guy on that show, and then they have like the different version of Superman. They have like different versions of each of the superheroes. Legit, they did the whole thing on the Arrowverse already, and they pulled them from different universes, put them together to stop like this guy, and literally the guy that puts them together is the equivalent of the Watcher in the Arrowverse. Like it was legit. Like that's the only thing. Watching What If, I was like, I thought it was gonna be more like the comic books where just standalone stories every episode, but then it culminated in them coming together, and that was cool. And I was like, oh, this was done recently. Like, it's nothing new.
For sure. Yeah, you could for sure. Now that you put that out there, you for sure they took that foundation, but only to build for what's to come because of the multiverse.
Exactly. Yeah.
So now they can do whatever they want.
Yeah.
I feel like What If was just there as filler to serve as, okay, Loki just ended not that long ago. Okay, well, Hawkeye comes out at the end of the year. We need something else. That way people are distracted from the fact that we haven't had a show come out in 4 or 5 months, whatever it was.
Yeah. Yeah. And also, like, I know in the MCU, like, we're just starting to get into the multiverse, right?
Mm-hmm.
Into what's going on there. But it was done in the Arrowverse already, too. Like, with the Flash, and even in that Crisis of Infinite Earths, like, they legit jumped to, like, Smallville. And they had actors come back from Smallville.
Yeah.
The Titans made an appearance. The Flash from the movies made an appearance.
Ezra Miller and Grant Gustin got to meet face to face.
They even stopped in Tim Burton's Batman for a second.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So they did this whole introduction of the multiverse that everyone's like super excited for in Doctor Strange, but I just think just because it was the Arrowverse, it wasn't like marketed enough probably, and there
Definitely.
wasn't already a fan base there that was super excited. Like the fans that watched Smallville and like any of these other shows like Birds of Prey, like the old shows, are not the same as the fans that grew up watching the X-Men movies and the Fantastic Four series and like all the stuff that we're now excited that might come into play now, especially after Spider-Man. Like just seeing all that like redone, it was like, as a fan is exciting, but I'm also like, hey guys, there's these other shows that kind of did the same thing that you could get excited about too. Like I was super excited for the Crisis of Infinite or storyline that they did in 2019, and they brought back all these people to reprise their roles. So I don't know. I just thought it was cool. But again, like going back to What If, I think that was the only issue I had with it, and I think that's why I have Invincible over it, because Invincible just feels more. It just feels different, right? It's more unique.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I feel
I
that
mean,
strongly.
I'll be honest, I struggled with What If. It just felt like filler episodes. I mean, it has a couple of moments where I got excited, but I had a hard time like engaging with a lot of it, and I feel like it's like halfway committed to the MCU while halfway committed to being its own thing. And I feel like if it would like commit to either just separating from it or being full part of it, it might be better.
Exactly.
It's just stands at this between where it was just hard to care for me for
it was just distracting because they had a lot of actors from the MCU reprise their roles, but they also had a lot of actors that didn't. So it was like, okay, we can tell that was Josh. We can tell that we can tell that's Josh Brolin as Thanos, but that wasn't actually Tom Holland as Spider-Man. So it was just like those little things I thought were weird. I was always in a fight with whoever I was watching it with, like, oh, that's Tom Holland. Like, no, that's not Tom Holland, or oh, that's really so-and-so.
This is a side note. Did you notice Black Widow Natasha? It's the same voice as Poison Ivy on
yeah.
That
was funny too. But moving on from that, let's talk about what people really want to know and dissect that, because this is what truly matters most, as it is the most dominating form of media and superheroes. But what was your guys' favorite movies from 2021, and what was your least favorite? We'll start with the least favorite first. Why don't Eric go first, man?
Least favorite superhero movie.
That's easy for me. I can tell you.
Is it that easy for you?
Oh yeah, it's very easy.
Okay, so I'll probably say Eternals. Even though
I have one worse.
One worse? Okay, well, I mean, I liked Eternals, and it's fine. And I liked it in theaters, and I watched it once, and that's it. I haven't rewatched it since it's been on Disney Plus. But yeah, I think for the MCU, it's probably, for me, it's rated one of the lower MCU films.
Definitely.
And especially when, like, even talking about like DC films, like the fact that I think the Suicide Squad did better than Eternals, right? And I don't know what you're gonna say, Jippy, but I really don't think there was a superhero movie that was much worse than that one that I watched, right?
For me, it's Venom. Let There Be Carnage.
You didn't like Venom?
No, I did not like that movie.
I'm with you on that one, Jimmy. Definitely.
It's not a superhero movie. It's a supervillain.
Well, it's funny because it was Eternal.
Yeah, that's true. But I mean, I'm sticking with it. It's comic book. It's that universe. You got a point, but like, look, Eternals was probably one of the weaker of like the superhero movies.
Yeah.
Overall, I still enjoyed it though. I still liked it. Venom, I just did not like. I don't think humor really works for it. I feel like they're really failing that character. I don't know when and if we're ever going to get the definitive version of Venom from the comic books.
I'll rewatch Venom. I don't think I'll rewatch Eternals anytime soon.
Yeah.
Okay.
Same.
I think for me, those are the last two on the list for me that were, but it was easy for me because at least Eternals has some redeeming qualities. The cinematography is great. The actors are pretty good. The whole where they were and everything, like I was really bought into a lot of the mythology and a lot of the mystere that surrounded the characters. But Venom, for me, there was just nothing redeeming about it. As even though you have Woody Harrelson, who's a great actor and can do this character justice, he just doesn't, because the script doesn't allow him to do that.
Here's another thing. I think that's the more thing that's upsetting about Venom is the wasted potential. Tom Hardy is a perfect choice for Eddie Brock.
He just needs to stop mumbling. We've already talked about that.
Yeah, he needs to stop mumbling. Woody Harrelson is a really good choice for Carnage. It's just they have all the pieces in play, and I feel like they're not executing it right.
I
So
guess
that's what makes
leave it to
annoying.
Sony to do that, though, right?
Yeah, leave
exactly.
it to Sony. At the very least, Eternals has a lot of problems, but it's very well filmed, and there's good acting in there.
Yeah.
It drags
Yeah.
here and there, but I like kind of the ideas that it's wrestling with and the thoughts that it has. So there is some stuff in there that I could still engage with. With Venom, I was just frustrated the entire time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What about you, Eddie? What was the worst movie of 2021 for you?
Yeah, same thing. Venom. It was trying to be funny, and I couldn't do that. The actor, like Jimmy said, though, the actors were good, but the script I felt was just off, and they could have done way more with it, to be honest.
Yeah, definitely, man, definitely. What about you, Ruben? What would you say? I know you're a deep philosophical thought, so I'm expecting a 10-minute speech on this. So
well, not really. I'm gonna have to agree with Eric because Eternal, same here, dude. It's just like, well, Venom was a tight second, because for the same reason, acting, storyline, trying to be too funny, but I still liked it better than the Eternals. Eternals, I like all that mythology stuff, I like the story. Some parts are slow. I liked how they got deep into every character some way, somehow, and where they ended up in the future. But then they really sat in the sidelines all because they were supposed to allow war to happen. I think that's the dumbest excuse ever. I'm like, and that's basically what it came down to. Like, why couldn't we interfere? And because the Celestials didn't want them to interfere, but it's because they wanted war to happen. So I'm like, bro, for real, like that's the reason why they made you sit the sidelines all these freaking years and all that. But that's my main reason why I dislike it. It's like, it's an okay movie. It does have potential for things to happen, like Nick was saying. Like, a lot of stuff can happen. We already know that these characters are for sure going to play a part some way down the
line. The actors were good.
Yeah,
the actors were good. But I think at the end, the whole plot is ridiculous.
Yeah, there was too many characters to get invested in any one character.
Yeah.
And like, obviously it was way more world building, and like you said, it was like beautifully shot. There was really cool scenes in
That's
it.
What was dope. Yeah, it was shot cool.
And I think as that type of film, it works. But I mean, in superhero films, we're used to seeing like action, seeing the story like move along.
Yeah.
And I understand that Marvel is still trying to do different genres and stuff.
But what I liked about it is like the mythology surrounding it and the concept.
That's what I loved
about the ideas behind it. So I get why it is one of the weaker ones, but I still felt like there was a lot there that was pretty engaging. Maybe it could have been a lot better. Yeah, but.
Yeah, I just felt like in Venom, I was way more invested in the character of Venom than I was in the Eternals.
Yeah, but I mean, I think the main thing for me is what Eternals had going for it is that Jon Snow is a certified superhero, so you can't that definitely has to put it on top of Venom no matter what.
For the 10 minutes he was in the movie.
Exactly. But it's crazy because there were honestly it's funny talking about this because there was just so many good movies, and at least even though Eternals was on that second to last list, I felt like that was still a very entertaining movie for me that had some redeeming qualities, things that I thought could have been better, could have been reworked. But for the most part, we had a lot of really great movies this year that I was pleasantly surprised of. I think this is the first time in a while where I said, hey, most of the movies that came out, I really liked and I really enjoyed. And it was hard for me to pick what exactly, well, I won't say it was hard for me, but it was more so, there was not really a movie I really had a problem with.
I'll agree with that. Yeah, I'll agree with that. I think for 2021, I mean, the movies we got were amazing, both live action and animated. I watched a lot of the animated movies too. And the fact that we're talking about Eternals being one of the bottom two, it just goes to show how good of a year it actually was. Right? I'm not trying to say Eternals was a bad movie. Like, no, we got Thor: The Dark World for that, right? But as 2021 for the Eternals to be rated one of the bottom, it just goes to show how good of a year it was.
I mean, it didn't bomb at the box office.
It did not.
Definitely.
Well, the MCU brand is going to ensure that it doesn't bomb at the box office, of course. So, but I actually wanted to go first on this next one because I don't know if you guys have felt the same way, and I kind of wanted to have that discussion on who feels. I think for the most part, I can kind of understand that, or I kind of see where that's coming. But the best movie of 2021 to me
Venom.
is not Spider-Man. It's not
Really?
It's not Spider-Man?
It's not for me either, but
One thing
Spider-Man
I want-
is very close by a hair, and I think I know where you're going
The
because
Suicide Squad was the best
Here
movie of
is one thing I
2021.
do want to
Suicide
say
Squad?
about.
Yeah.
Suicide Squad?
Not the first one.
No, the one that
the
came
new
out.
one.
Nah,
Oh,
forget
the
that.
Suicide
me-
Squad was awesome. I still like Spider-Man more, but I don't think that's
Yeah.
a bad answer though. That's
It was a funny conclusion for me because I didn't expect it, and that whole I mean I was probably one of the more hyped ones when we did the Spider-Man No Way Home review, and I was just rewatching the Suicide Squad the other day in preparation of this episode, and I just said to myself, you know what, I actually like the Suicide Squad better.
Okay.
I think it just when you take into account of where it was before and that James Gunn was originally brought on because Warner Brothers wanted him to do a Superman movie, and he said, "Oh, Superman's not really my forte. That's not really what I had in mind." Okay, well, you can do whatever movie you want. Okay, I'll do a Suicide Squad. And when you have characters like Polka Dot Man and Ratcatcher 2, and you make them some of the most genuine, compassionate, empathetic characters that you can understand, and you make those believable people, like you even made Star the Conqueror actually a more believable person than on some of the other comic book movies that we've seen, and you give a lot of development in that one little scene that he has right before his death. And even King Shark was also somebody who I felt was a person you really understood. Well, I won't say person, a creature you really understood. I think just the level of adding so much human qualities and understanding that the audience can gravitate towards these characters, that alone is something that is very unique and distinct. So for me, that's what puts it on top. And it's really hard for me because Spider-Man No Way Home was better than I was expecting and didn't rely on the cash grab cameos, which is what we were cautious about from the very beginning. But for me, just the Suicide Squad, for sure, on top of that. Very, very top for me.
Yeah. Only problem I had with Suicide Squad is they gave us Weasel.
Weasel's funny.
Hey, but he's still alive, so he's
Weasel's
going to
funny,
be
I'm
around
sorry.
for some kind of
No.
sequel.
I can't with that stupid Weasel.
Okay,
I can't.
I'm only gonna say this because when I watched it in theaters, that's like the part that everybody was like busting up at. I remember people were like, I hear people in the audience whispering shit like, "What the fuck is that? What is that?"
And he's supposed
I
to
mean,
be
we have John Cena, even though you couldn't actually see him and you just saw a floating helmet or floating beacon of freedom, as he calls it.
Mhm.
Yep.
What about you, Eric? I think I know the answer, but what was the best film of 2020
My
for you?
answer. Yeah, definitely Spider-Man. No, like no other movie comes close.
Mhm.
Like my second wasn't even Suicide Squad. Probably. Well, I'll let you
Snyder
guys
Cut.
talk about the other ones. But yeah, Spider-Man. It just even with all the leaks that happened, it still exceeded my expectations, and it did such a good job of bringing Spider-Man back into his zone as he is in the comics, and bringing like Peter Parker back to like that street level superhero that we know, and that I mean, a lot of us like that's where we first met Spider-Man, right? In the animated series or in the comic books, that's where we met Peter Parker, and that's where he thrives. Really, that's where we're gonna get the incredible stories moving forward. So again, I think kind of going back to what Ruben was saying about Hawkeye, like setting up for the future. I think Spider-Man did the same thing, and it kind of like closed 2021 on a really high note, and like super excited moving forward. Like even like when I'm talking about the future, like we're talking about like Daredevil showing up in this movie. We're talking about the expansions into the multiverse, like not just like what we saw in Loki, but like actually bringing these other superheroes and having them actually have a role in the MCU. It's just amazing to see. So and it was really well written. Like it was a really good plot. I think in the middle there for a small part of it, I thought it was a bit weird, but other than that, like I think it just did a really good job. And I might just still be on my like Spider-Man high. Like I watched it in theaters more than once already. But even then, like I still think, and we had so many good movies, but it has to be up there, right?
Definitely. What about you, Jimmy?
I'll go last. Let Ruben and Eddie go
This
first.
guy.
I know you were
Well,
gonna.
no, for
I
sure.
re-
I'm gonna have to go with Spider-Man, bro. You know the
There you
hype
go.
that when I did that, when we did the pod about Spider-Man, like,
Yeah.
bro, it just it literally it hit my expectations of what I was expecting. All Toby, Andrew Garfield, you know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Like the moment they opened up that scene with Ned, I already knew that's how they were gonna introduce the Spider-Man. Even
Yep.
though I knew that was gonna happen, I was still excited for it. That's like
Exactly.
how
Yeah.
how I felt about. That's how I feel about this movie still. So it's like, bro, it's just the acting alone, all these characters, and the fact that they didn't even introduce the Sinister Six. That's how much pull this movie has because it already hooked me, and I want to see the Sinister Six and what Sony's gonna do with Spider-Man moving forward.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
it's just, and the acting was cool. No, like look at man, and just setting up the multiverse, like Eric was saying, and the future and the potential with Doctor Strange that's gonna bring, what it's gonna bring. Like it's just, I'm at to watch it again this weekend.
Yep.
Definitely. What about you, Eddie? Are you in agreement with the last two opinions?
Oh man, it's between Snyder Cut and that one. So
Snyder Cut still. I knew it.
Yeah, I gotta go with Spider-Man. They did too good. They did too good. I thought they were gonna mess it up too. I thought it was gonna be some cash grab stuff, but
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
nah, they did good. They did their thing. And then the redemption that Andrew Garfield Spider-Man got, and
Yeah, man,
Like,
definitely.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
they did great, like connecting all the previous trio of movies and stuff. So it was cool.
Yeah.
It was the
Yeah.
So I think we had figured out what Jimmy's
Well, I wanted
answer
to
is
do
going to
something
be.
really quick because there are like 4 movies this year that I thought were really, really, really strong. So I'm gonna do like my top 3 and the runner-up. My
Yeah.
runner-up would be Shang-Chi.
Shang-Chi,
And
good, really good.
I like Shang-Chi a lot, and
That was my
any,
second.
that was your
Yep.
second, and I
Yeah.
think in any other year that could have easily been like number 1, but it was a strong year. But if I want to do
Yeah.
my top 3, my 3 is Suicide Squad. I love Suicide Squad.
Really
2
good.
is Spider-Man: No Way Home. Almost like it as much as my first choice. I think what I liked about Spider-Man: No Way Home is it exceeded all my expectations, and any fears that I had about what it might be were all wrong. I was afraid it was like what Eddie said, just cash grab. My biggest fear with that movie was I thought, please, the last thing we need to see is like Tom Holland at the end when he's struggling, and then out of the multiverse, Andrew Garfield and Tobey
Yeah.
Maguire swing in to help him save the day. And I thought that was what it was going to be. And what we got was actually fully developed characters for all 3 Spider-Men. They were all real, especially Andrew Garfield, best Spider-Man to me, in my opinion.
Definitely.
And all the
100%.
villains were awesome. As much as I like that, I'm going to have to go with Zack Snyder's Justice League.
Oh,
I loved Zack Snyder's Justice League. I thought it was a complete redemption from that piece of trash that was released in 2017, which is one of the worst superhero movies ever made, which is kind of shocking to me. It just shows you how important director's cuts are and how bad studio interference is. I thought it was just like an awesome superhero extravaganza. I thought it's a beautiful film. I thought of all the live action comic book movies, it's the one that comes closest to capturing the way that comic books look, the framing of it, the stylization of it. I liked every superhero in that movie. I'm not a fan of Ben Affleck as Batman, but I liked him this time around.
exactly.
Yeah.
don't worry, he's not around anymore. So
Yeah,
your,
but
your dream has been fulfilled. So
yeah, but
way
he
to
was
go.
good. I liked him in this. Henry Cavill, even though he comes back at the end, I felt like such a comic book geek moment because I remember reading the death of Superman when I was a kid, and then the return of the black costume. I love Wonder Woman, Aquaman. The Flash was a great standout. We got to learn a lot more about Cyborg.
Wonder Woman's scene
Oh
was
yeah,
dope.
Cyborg. Yeah, like Cyborg was awesome.
I just thought, like, visually, it's just a spectacular movie to look at. Like, if you look at Cyborg's whole sequence and, like, explaining his entire backstory, dude, that's awesome. Loved all that. And also loved the car crash with the Flash.
Oh yeah.
Awesome.
Oh yeah.
That was dope.
Wonder Woman's bank robbery sequence, which is so much better than it was in the 2017 version. I just like Spider-Man: No Way Home. I almost picked it, but I had rewatched this, Snyder's Justice League recently, and I was like, this is just such an awesome comic book movie, and I just wished we had gotten it in 2017. So I'm gonna go with Zack Snyder's Justice League. I
Yeah,
love
that.
definitely up there.
I loved it.
And
I
it
don't
just
know,
makes you
man.
wonder too when you have a scene near the very end where Flash has to run back in time because the mother box unified and destroyed the whole world, like vaporized everybody and everything. You just have to figure when you have a scene like that and the editors, the exec said, you know, this would be great, but why don't we have the Flash actually just like save a random family and push them out like miles outside of the city? You have a scene like that. That's probably one of the most defining comic book moments, especially for a character like Flash. That took him from a guy who could run fast to somebody who's able to freaking go back in time and can actually rewrite the timelines. When you have something like that, that's a really huge character defining moment. You don't have that. All it makes me wonder were they just intentionally trying to sabotage this film? It really feels that way.
Yeah, I feel like when I looked at the 2017 version, I watched some of it and I had to turn it off. But
Yeah.
it felt like this had to have been an intentional act of sabotage on Joss Whedon's part because God, that movie is crap. Just bad.
It's just
Yeah.
atrocious.
Yeah, it's atrocious. But I really love Zack Snyder's Justice League.
I think you were gonna say something, right, Eric?
Yeah, I liked it. I liked the Snyder cut, but I can't put it as my top film for the year just probably because I already saw what came out the first time around 2017, and because I knew it was just a cut, it was like I already know the story, I already know where it's going. Like sure, they fixed almost everything about the old movie, but at the same time it's like okay, but you messed it up the first time. It's like for me, like you don't really get a second chance. Like, yeah, Zack Snyder director's cut is cool, but you had your chance, and especially thinking about like the future of the DCU, which I don't think there is a DCU anymore, right? Like we're hearing these reports that like Henry Cavill's not coming back. You just said it. Ben Affleck's not coming back. Like this leaves no future. Zack,
I know,
and even though at the end it has like the future with the Joker and this and like it's like setting something up still, there's nothing there anymore. There's nothing left to set up. It's
true, it's not setting anything up, but I think one of the reasons that it's good is that you could judge it on its own now that universe is cut off. I don't think every superhero movie has to connect to something larger. I think there's something to be said for just a movie that tells its own story. And to me, it was a drastic change from the 2017 cut. Like, so far.
I mean, the thing is, it does try to connect to everything else. That's the point. Like, that was the whole point of the
especially
DCU.
the Flash.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Now they're using the Flash to use their multiverse.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I think maybe if it was a standalone, like truly standalone movie where it wasn't like trying to connect back to Batman vs Superman and to Man of Steel and Wonder Woman, like sure, okay, I can judge it on its own, but I can't. I can't see it as its own piece as of now, just because there was so much crap around it that I was like, I can't isolate it from everything else that I've already seen. Like I can't disconnect the Snyder cut from the original one and without thinking how bad that one was. Because it could be that maybe I just think the Zack Snyder cut was that much better because the first one was so bad. Right?
Exactly.
Yeah, probably.
I mean, also too, the other reason that one of the reasons that surprised me about the Snyder cut is I don't like Batman versus Superman, and
Wonder Woman was the best part.
Yeah, Wonder Woman was the best part. Man of Steel I liked Man of Steel more when it came out. When I see it now, I was like, it's good, but it's not like the best thing in the world. So I was surprised by how much I like it because I'm not one of those Snyder fanboys who was like really. I was actually even skeptical. I was like, who gives a shit about the Snyder cut? Why do we need to see it? I was kind of done with it. So I say it as somebody who didn't really care for Zack Snyder's original vision for DC, that I was that surprised that this was as good as it was.
That's fair. I think that's fair.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to make my case for why I think both Spider-Man and Shang-Chi were better.
Okay.
But I understand. I understand where you're coming from. Especially, I'm not that big of a DC fan, right? I've read some of the comics, mostly like the popular runs, right? So I don't understand all the little nuances in the DC universe that you might be able to see in a film like this. That like the whole thing with the Joker in the future, like that, a lot of that went just over my head. was like, I have no idea what's happening here.
I mean, it's kind of a DC fanboy's wet dream.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Definitely. But that was a little harder one for me to pick because I actually had that right above Shang-Chi and right after Spider-Man No Way Home. So that was actually near the top of the list for me. But
Yeah.
I actually wanted to talk about Shang-Chi for a second. Did you guys think was the action and the fight sequences in it, did that stand out a lot to you guys? Were they distinct, and were they very different from
I mean,
anything else you've seen in comic book movies?
I think it had some of the best action scenes of the year. Not just in comic book movies, just movies, period.
You know what Nick wanted to say, the martial arts part.
Yeah. But the bus scene is probably, it's up there. It's one of the 2 or 3 best action sequences of the year.
Yeah. No, it was a good movie.
The bus sequence, yeah.
It was really good.
Yeah.
And I think I like Shang-Chi a lot too, because I don't really know that much about that character. And I liked all the mythology, the Asian mythology that it's based in.
Yeah,
I thought it was really cool world. I thought it was well shot. I'm like really I'm really surprised in any other year that could have easily have been my favorite one of the year.
Yeah.
Definitely. Same here.
Yeah,
when you
it
talk
was.
about DC, you always got to think about the action scene. But I was gonna say, when it comes to the action, I think that's gonna be my favorite movie for sure. You know how I was breaking down the TV shows with a certain favorite for each.
Yeah.
Shang-Chi has to be my action favorite for sure. And my favorite action scene would have to be the construction outside the building, the bamboo, you little thing, dude. That's all. Anything outside of a large building like that, it's crazy to me.
Yeah.
And it also kind of reminds me of a Rush Hour.
That it definitely reminds me of Rush Hour too.
Yeah.
I was
think that's
actually,
a
when
good
Katie was
homage,
falling,
baby.
I expected her to say Chinese bamboo very strong. But that didn't happen. But I think for me, what made it stand out so much is that fact, and especially since a lot of these superhero movies, they're very action driven. They have a lot of physically demanding for the actors involved. Not so much a character like Thor, but someone like Captain America, Falcon, Winter Soldier, Spider-Man, Iron Fist. A lot of those guys are gonna be very top tier fighters and some of the best in their respective universes. So I think for me, what really attracted me to that was that fact that this was like when it was announced that Simu Liu was cast, who played Shang-Chi. He was actually somebody who had a very extensive martial art and stunt background. So it wasn't like they just got some handsome, ripped Asian guy and said, hey, you're going to be Shang-Chi. There was actually a thought process behind it and said, hey, we need to get somebody who's good looking, who's muscular, but who can actually perform the movements that this character can do. And I even think just from a movie perspective, from a cinema perspective, you're able to have longer takes. You're able to actually punch out a little bit and actually show that that's actually Simu doing the movements. And I think I really just want that to be a standard for this genre going forward. Maybe not so much, okay, they don't have to have so many years of martial art experience, stunt experience, but at least be willing to put in the time and that effort, or if they've already had that background, that's even better. But I just hope that we get more of that in the future, because a lot of these fight scenes really stood out to me. We're like a cross between something like Kung Fu Hustle and Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon meets Jackie Chan in the 80s. If you've seen kind of movies, well, Rumble in the Bronx is in the 90s, but if you had seen like something like Police Story. So I just felt like that was a very great way to cross in between those genres, and I just want to see more high-level action like this.
And not only that, with the fighting action, sorry, Eddie, quick thought. Not only that is when they do the fighting scenes, they literally did it. They didn't want to make it boring. Not obviously fighting. You know, sometimes people get into the fighting, they don't realize the background, or sometimes people do realize the background and get tired of it because they think it's the same thing over and over. But now with Shang-Chi, it was different. They fought in the bus, they fought in the subway, right? I believe. They fought on ground, and then that fool ended up fighting on a dragon at the end or something like that. Or he fought a dragon. I'm like, dude, like
he blows up a dragon.
Yeah. So I was like, dude, so every action scene was not the same, I should say. I thought that was cool.
Yeah, that was a really good movie.
And to me too, what also stood out is that fact that we had the action sequences tell the story, and especially when you have somebody like Wenwu, who is has like a power complex and think of himself as a very narcissistic, megalomaniacal character. In the way he fights, he has a very like powerful, grounded style. It's almost like when you see him fight, it's almost like he's moving the ground, or almost like he's using so much strength and so much power. Well, that is something that's reflective of his character, especially in somebody like Shang-Chi's mom too. She has a very soft Tai Chi fighting style, reflecting her outlook on life and her demeanor and her personality. So I also want that to be something that's a standard. Like, we're not having fight sequences in action that are spectacles, but they're actually telling the story and having you learn more about the characters through these interactions. So
And
I
the
want
food
that.
dog was dope.
Yeah,
The food dog was badass.
definitely. So with all that, and making sure that you guys check out 2022 is going to be a great year for film and shows.
Oh yeah.
And this is a great time to be a comic book fan. I mean, the Batman comes out in like a month and a half, or a month in like 10, 15 days. So that's going to be freaking awesome.
Before
And-
we sign off, one thing I wanted to say about 2021, MODOK was really good. Was one of the really good, and it was underseen. And I don't even think it's going to get a second season because they have not announced anything. They haven't announced that it's canceled yet, but I'm pretty sure we would have heard something by now with the way things going. So unless people like sign a petition or something, or people start checking it out in bigger numbers on Hulu, I don't think it's coming back.
Yeah.
And that's kind of too bad, because if you saw how it ended, I think that show has a lot of potential, and I like the finale and the place that they left that character in. I mean, I know it's like goofy at first and everything, but it gets pretty dark by the end, and it goes.
I think that's what it was. It was probably the animation was just people got turned off by it. But if you watch like
I thought it was cool
and stuff like that, yeah, it was badass.
But not only that, you can't forget they're already bringing a live action of MODOK too. So
I mean,
that
but
might-
there's
supposedly.
a live action version of Harley Quinn, and they still have a Harley Quinn show. So I still.
Nah,
think
but
they
it's
can-
different with the animation. Yeah, but it's I don't who knows. Too dark maybe.
Yeah. Well, shout out to Eddie, because he was the reason that I don't think we would have watched it on our own, because I just didn't think it was going to be good. It looked a little too wacky, too weird. Especially I love MODOK, and seeing that this was going to be a parody, it didn't really have my interest in it.
Yeah.
Oh, the Harley Quinn show was really dope. What are you guys looking forward to the most this year?
Well, I want to say one thing about this year. It's kicked off to a good start with Peacemaker, which is switching it where DC is introducing the years for shows, and I love it so far. And I think what I like about it is it shows what's different about DC and Marvel, because that's not the type of show that could ever exist on Disney Plus.
No, definitely.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
They're never gonna put Deadpool on Disney Plus.
Oh yeah,
that's what they should take advantage of though.
It's on Hulu already.
Yeah, so I kind of I like what DC's doing with Peacemaker. It kind of shows a different direction that they're allowed to go in. But the thing I'm most excited for is the Batman.
Yeah,
honestly.
Same here.
Gross.
Same here.
No, I'm not excited for the Batman.
Me either.
But you're gonna love it, so it's okay. Don't worry.
There's too many bad Batman movies for me to get excited about another Batman movie. I'm excited for Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange is, especially after Spider-Man, Doctor Strange is going to be the movie of the year. Calling it now. It's going to be the movie of the year.
Behind the Batman.
I don't
know.
So.
That's what you're most looking forward to, Eric?
Doctor Strange, definitely.
You, Ruben?
Damn. I don't have not one time. I'm just excited for all the shows that are gonna come out, bro.
The shows, yeah. Moon Knight.
I think I'm excited for all the shows. Moon Knight,
X-Men.
Groot, X-Men animated series.
X-Men.
Bro, and it's a continuation too. Damn, bro. Like, I'm excited.
Oh, yeah, I need a rewatch. Them.
I think I can't remember everything at the top of my head, but I'm pretty sure this is going to be a more packed year.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Because from what I was reading, I felt like Marvel mostly carried 2021 with all the TV shows and projects, and it seems like this year it's going to be both of them, and there's going to be a lot of movies and TV shows. So I
did you see the leak that Japan did or something like that?
No.
Of what's on their release timeline for 2022? Bro, it's at least 11 or 10 movie and shows combined together.
Damn. Could we say
that's a lot, and that's for this year.
Well, and then hopefully, I'm
gonna tag you guys on this so you know what I'm talking about.
But Black Panther 2 is supposed to come out end of next year, so
it got delayed again.
If they, I know if they
Yeah.
get their shit straight.
Oh, they're saying the new What If season is What If season number 2 is coming out this year
Yeah.
too.
Also supposed to come out this year?
So we'll see. We'll
She-Hulk.
see.
Well, what about you, Eddie? What are you looking forward to?
X-Men, dude.
Of
X-Men.
course.
They're coming back with the cast.
Yeah.
Man, that's really cool. Like I never seen a show continue like this
X-Men
many years later.
97.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Without, like,
It'd be
six-
called X-Men 93, but okay.
It should be.
Yeah.
I would have thought it was, but
Yeah, it's gonna be dope, man.
yeah.
Yep.
I'm the Batman and Moon Knight are the movie and show I'm most looking forward to. Moon Knight, I mean, that's a given. You guys know.
Really
Yeah,
quick,
yeah.
really quick. One of the actors, Moon Knight, just passed away recently.
That's
in a
true.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
young
Jasper
Hannibal.
Duell.
Rest in peace, young Hannibal.
R.I.P.
Rest
And
in
he
peace.
actually played Hannibal before.
Yeah, young
yeah,
Hannibal.
R.I.P.
Rest in peace.
Yeah, he played
I call him
Hannibal.
Hannibal. I don't call him
That was
anything else.
Yeah, so I gotta be careful no matter what.
Yeah,
Rest
definitely.
in peace, man.
Rest in
Yeah.
peace.
Everything.
But yeah, thanks so much, Eddie, for you joining us today. We really appreciate your
Appreciate
presence.
you.
Got to have you back, man. But that's all the time we have for today on Heroes and Mutants. Make sure you check out Higher Passion Entertainment to get more podcasts and something to fulfill your needs in that category. But all that being said, thank you guys so much. We'll see you guys next time.
Peace.